people who have lived with lived experience sometimes can do the most effective work. And I believe today that I went through that to help another young man or to save a young man's life, to prevent them from going through that. That's why God pulled me through that. The thing about gun violence, it's something that it seems like it doesn't get older, it gets younger. It's getting younger. As I get older, gun violence is getting younger. It's in the hands of younger people. And so I feel like it's up to us, older gentlemen, someone older, to give back and to reach out to those young men and to try to prevent some of the wreckage that can be caused from it. Another thing about gun violence that my experience with is that it doesn't just affect one person. You know, we got to mind that there's a trickle effect what happens when a person is shot and killed, when a person goes to jail for shooting or killing somebody. So we're talking about multiple trauma happening, a wave of trauma happening that's because of one shooting. And so with my experience with it, I want to be able to be there to combat it somehow. You know, and that's why I do what I do.
I'm going to ask you the same follow-up question from your experience. What are some of the issues, the systemic causes that cause gun violence and are causing it to get younger and younger, as you mentioned?
I mean, I'm going to be cutting around. Like, I come from a culture of gang violence. For me, and what I see and what I deal with, it's from gang violence, and it's because of, I don't know what, you know, there's so many theories on what, you know, what makes of that, but I see kids coming at themselves over turfs, over women, over the internet, over colors, over money, over music. You know, so it's a culture thing as well. My culture telling me that community genocide. You know.
Thank you for sharing that.
I'll go stupid. So, I'm a police officer. Been a police officer for 22 years. Been with the gang team, the gun violence reduction team for 19 years. So I've been around a little bit. I've worked closely with all three of these gentlemen up here. I've actually pulled him over. Actually, I pulled Nelson over too. So, but we, I mean, it might have been a negative thing in the beginning, but it's a positive thing now. I mean, Roy and I talk to each other probably every day. Nelson and I, we hug it out all the time. And this guy, we have a special bond too. But I met all three of these gentlemen through work. So it's not, the gun violence reduction team, we don't just pull people over, do investigations and put handcuffs on people. What we do is, we do that, but we also give people choices, men and women choices, and resources that they needed. And we reach out. A couple examples, I mentor kids too. I have taken kids, usually I take kids who want to be mentored by me to Red Robin. They like going there because of the French fries and the milkshakes. We go there, I dress just like this, and I talk about everything but their hard life. We talk about, hey, have you ever been to a Blazer game? Have you ever been to a football game? You ever been to the beach? And we talk about that stuff. We talk about positive things that will affect these kids, things that they probably haven't seen yet. And I know these three guys do the same thing. I've taken kids to Blazer games. I've taken kids to a Timbers game. I even went to a Mariners game. And it was an awesome experience for them. They've never been. Some of these youth that we deal with and we talk to and try to help out, they've never been basically out of the city of Portland. You know, we try to help them that way. So we just don't put handcuffs on people. We give them tons of resources and try to get, especially the kids that are on the fence, try to get them out of that life. Try to see a positive outcome. Try to be a positive member of society. Give them lots of avenues and resources to go in different directions. We do that. I do that. I'm also, right now, I'm the crisis response team coordinator. It's a job I just took over a few months ago. I go out and I talk to the victims of crimes. I help out the LGBTQ community, the human trafficking community, the gun violence community. People have been affected by it, just been affected by all this crime. And I oversee 30 community members on my team, and we go out and we basically surround them with resources. We give them as much help and need, victims assistance as we can. I think I was destined to do that job. You know, when I first started my job on the gun violence reduction team, I was worked afternoons in uniform. So I worked from 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. and all we go out is we go out and stop young men and women in high violent crime areas, and we talk to them. And you know, we say, hey, how's it going? We kind of find out who's feuding with who. We bring that information back to our detectives and stuff like that, just so we have a base of who we're dealing with and who's involved in these crimes. And then I became the day shift. Then I started doing other investigations, other type of stuff. And then I really started seeing how valuable that we can be, the police can be to our community by helping these young men and women out. And then it's not just the juvenile, it's the men, you know, between 21 and 55. You know, men who are finally like, hey, I need to grow up and get out of that lifestyle, and I need to be, you know, do something else. I'm tired of being in prison, I'm tired of being shot at, and I need to help survive for my family. And so we help doing that stuff too, and I enjoy doing that. I love doing that. I work with Roy with healing her people, him and Tracy. We go out and we contact tons of victims. We give them tons of resources, and we try to make them better, try to make their life better. This stuff, that the violence, this gun violence is creating, it's creating huge barriers and rifts in families. Not only mentally, like Nelson said, but also financially. You know, if they got to do what they got to do to survive to protect their family, you know, I don't hold that against them. But you know, they got to know that you know there's certain barriers and there's certain other resources that you can go to and get help from. And Roy and I and Nelson, we provide those sources for them. So I really enjoy helping people. You know, it's a different story from if you would ask me this 22 years ago. I just said, hey, I like to drive fast and you know chase people. But right now, it's all about helping people. So that's my story right now. As I got a little older, I'm a little slower. Hey,
let me ask you the same follow-up question from your perspective when you work in the police bureau. What are the main causes that you've seen of gun violence in the community?
Well, I think Nelson and Roy said some pretty key things. I do think that social media plays a huge role right now. I just do, you know, all these different social media sites. This is how these kids, excuse me, interact amongst each other. You have communities or neighborhoods who don't like each other, you know, or gang members don't like each other, and they have these rifts, and they can speak it loud and clear over, you know, these social media sites. And so, like, for example, if Roy and I wear a different color, Roy doesn't like me because I wear a different color, and Roy says, hey, I don't like the color that I'm wearing, and he specifically, you know, calls me out, then all my friends are like, hey, you better handle Roy. You better do, you know, he's disrespecting us. All right, so that puts pressure on me, and that's blasted all over social media sites. And so, you know, in order for me to stay good with my group, and I got to go and react to Roy, and that stuff goes on. It's a shame. I think also video games, music, you know, girls, women, it takes a toll. And for these young men and women who are in this violence, they feel so peer pressured that they got to react. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. It used to be over, you know, you live on this block and you live on this block. It's not that way anymore. It's about, you know, who's reaching out to who. And everybody in the city of Portland, it's a small enough city that everybody knows everybody lives there, generally, or where their family is from. So that's where they go and basically, you know, attack, which is very sad.
Thank you for sharing that. Mr. Harris, if you want to close us up, please. What is your lived experience and or work experience with gun violence here in Portland?
First, I gotta say, I gotta shout out my guy Jay here, because he said he's been working for 19 years, and we probably knew each other at 19. And he kind of exemplifies what makes this unit and how they grew up different, because my brother got killed in 2013, and pretty much all the time. One of the first questions when they receive me is, how's my mom doing or how's my sister? I have a niece, and she doesn't even know this. She is a senior at the University of Kansas as a double major in anthropology and biology. And when she went for the Z-Man scholarship, she couldn't even talk. So he sat in the hallway for 20 minutes just so she could calm down. And that scholarship, because she had been homeless, led her all the way to being an hospital. So, or my youngest daughter named Alexis. And he was a volleyball coach. And so again, when we think about this particular program, one of the things that makes them so special within the community that most of them serve decades in is it's like, Rob Richardson, one of the ways he always says you measure love, you spell it T-I-M-E. And for a unit in the police to spend as much time invested in saying that's their community too, that's a unique thing that's always kind of given them an edge that allows them to be part of seen as part of the community too. Because I remember 1980, now I can get back to 1988. My friends created the Woodline Park. We were out there. And I got pulled over by a police officer. Pac-Man. We get into an argument. We have some choice words for each other. He spends about 50 minutes so he can write me a $969 ticket for excessive littering because I threw a baby son kid's raisin box out the window. I flipped out, I'm going crazy. Officer Hollingsworth comes, calms me down, because he was officer friendly in the schools when I was little. I know this about. Fast forward 2011. It's his last day as an officer, Crown's last day as an officer. There's a shooting. I'm working the shooting because I've been doing gang outreach and gang involved youth work since '93, since he was one of my kids when he was 14 or 15. And we both show up. And we just sit there and laugh as two adults, thinking about where we started and where we ended up. Because one of the things that happened is they were allowed to grow up with a whole generation of men and women in the community. They know, my amen. My mom, my dad when my dad died. And again, this is the unit tasked with knowing the most at-risk, high-octane, high-violence group of people. Like for me, my history is similar. It's funny how Roy talked about, I just got just shot in the leg, because that's how I describe being shot in the leg. Because my mom had 5 brothers, all 5 been shot and 1 been killed. But my parents been shot. But I know what it's like to be standing with a friend and say, okay, I'm gonna go get some lunch, I'll be right back. And come back and he's laying right there dead. I know what that's like as a person. I know what it's like to have the first victim of the drive-by shooting where he missed in that day. The significance of that means he missed shooting me in the head because he shot my car 5 times the night before. And so, like when he talked about getting shot, and Jay understands this, because once you get in it long enough, you understand we ain't really on different sides. It's a fraternity where we compete. The only difference is if he wins, they go for beers. Now the loss gets you caught. But it's that when we understand, because the same cultural norms, the same values, the same respects come across. But again, we end up like that. And so for me, as I look at this over this whole spectrum at a time, I've seen it all. I've literally worked as an outreach worker. Talk to a kid. The time it takes for him to walk out that door, he's a dead man. I know what it's like to tell his cousin, okay, I'm gonna see you in the morning. Come on, that's like when I get home, and we split up at 4:50, the 6 o'clock news has you on the street. And so for me, I do this because me and my friends started off this. People I was like as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old started off this. What he wanted to grow up and get at is what me and my friends started. What my little brothers and they want to get at is what his brother and them started. And we all grew up going to the same village. We all grew up playing on the same Little League baseball teams, football teams, wrestling, walking to house parties, all of that. And so for me, when I look at this, and I have one friend, And I remember we was at, you know, James did. We were sitting in front of the old store on 14th and Deacon. This was at 1990. Right at the uptick of a lot of the people, right at the us getting old enough to either drop out of school or be that first generation out. And we sat and really realized, oh, all of this madness, we started this as 18 and 19. But we used to fight a lot. And then it became weather. And then it became religion. Because anybody will tell you, once you start, two things are gonna never stop happening. You're never gonna stop having gangs. They'll just have a different name because kids are always gonna find ways to affiliate themselves with